Coming up on today's show, I'm super excited because we are talking about polycystic ovary syndrome, PCOS. You don't want to miss today's show. Hello, darlings. How are you? And welcome to Wake Up Well. I am your host, Portia Scott. I'm so excited that you guys decided to join us today. Listen, if you are in here, if you saw what we're talking about, I want you to share. We are talking about polycystic ovary syndrome, known as PCOS, and 1 out of every 5 to 10 women has it. So I am sure that you know somebody, that somebody you knows somebody, that somebody they knows somebody. So join in on this conversation. I am so very excited. I think it is a conversation that is not often talked about. And so I'm excited because we have a health coach, Dijha Allen, that is going to be sharing with us. And then we have Marty as we talk about the mental health. Paula, hello, darling. How are you? Ray, thank you so much for joining, darling. Hey, Jasmine, thank you so much for joining. Hello. As you guys are coming in and saying hello, I want to know, what are you grateful for, my friends? What are you grateful for today? What are you grateful for today? You guys, come on, as you're coming in, make sure you let us know what you're grateful for. So while you're doing that, you all know that I am never, ever alone. And so I'm going to introduce our resident mental hygienist. Did y'all hear that? Our resident mental hygienist. And by the way, listen to this. Oh, you love my introduction. Thank you, darling. Y'all know our resident mental hygienist, health hygienist. Look at this. Speak up, speak out, and live. And listen, Marty's going to be on here so he can tell you how you can get one of these shirts too. Listen, and it fits nice. You know, sometimes you get these shirts and they don't fit nice. I mean, it fit real nice. Get my good side profile. Y'all go get you a shirt. Marty's going to come in to let you know how to get it. I didn't pay for mine. You will have to pay for yours, but that's all right. Listen, we are supporting Black businesses. You guys, I am so excited. Sunday is like my favorite day of the week. 1, because I get to worship with my community, and 2, because of this show and you all showing up all the time. Paula says, I'm grateful for life, health, and strength. Yes. You know, I remember hearing that all the time. And I tell you, COVID has taught me that is a thing. I am so grateful for life, health, and strength. Thank you, Paula, for sharing. Pamela, thank you so much for joining, darling. Hello. Raheem is on. Godfrey's on. He is grateful for the gift, Jesus, love, life, and family. Yes. So you guys, I'm just going to put this out, because if anyone has ever heard a talk or heard me do anything, you know, when something is going on, I always point it out. So then I am not insecure. Not that it has anything to do with you, but me. So this week, because your girl has acne, and some of that actually is due to what we're going to talk about. But I have acne, and I never had it as a kid. I turned 40 and I get acne. And so we're trying to clean all that up. And I had a peel. So if you guys kind of see some peeling around my face, don't worry. It's all right. Nothing's happening. It's just that I had to have that treatment. And so I'm peeling a little bit. So I needed to get that out of the way. So now I don't be self-conscious when I'm up here. So you guys, listen, let's get on with the show. I'm going to introduce our resident mental health hygienist, Marty Sellers.
Hello there, darling. How are you?
I am good. How are you? Oh my goodness. You guys stop the show. Marty, I'm going to get with you. Lori, hello, darling. She said, hi, Portia. I am thankful for Jesus and all that he has done for us. Listen, the reason why I had to stop is because when I was deployed in Iraq, Lori was deployed with me as well. And I think, Lori, you were at E7 at that time. And listen, I would sometime go in her office and take a nap. And she would say, Portia, I got you. I got your back. So we actually deployed together to Iraq. And I'm telling you, it was it was one of the hardest things I've ever had to do, but one of the things that I'm most thankful for, because it definitely did change the trajectory of my
Yes.
life. So
Wow.
because she's on here, Lori, I love you. I never forget those times in the desert, when we hugged, when sometime we cried, when we tried to sleep a nap because we were working 16, 18, 20 hours
Wow.
sometimes. So I am so grateful for you. That's what I am grateful for, actually, that you have shown up. I am so happy. You guys, it almost brings tears to my eyes, because that deployment was hard. They were just hard. I can't, it was just hard. But having people around, I can't ever explain what it's like to be in the military and the camaraderie that you have amongst one another, because you are in these positions where you're around each other all the time, and you're literally like, I would take a bullet for them. And
Hmm.
you don't know that until you get in these situations.
Right.
So I'm grateful for that. But Marty, how are you,
Hello.
brother?
Listen, I am so amazing and it's so good to see you. And thank you for supporting what I do in mental health, as we speak up, speak out, and live. And you know what? Thank you for taking the time. I think too often we as civilians forget about the amazing sacrifices that those who are in the armed forces do so that we can have the liberties that we have, that we take for granted so much, that someone, our liberties are only possible because someone else gave their very life and their lives for us to have so that we might be able to live. And I have a nephew who just joined the Navy, so we're not going to be able to talk to him. He's somewhere deployed, but you know what? We keep praying for him. We're grateful to God that it's making a difference in his life and he is serving the way that he is serving. So my salute to everyone that is currently serving or has ever served in the armed forces. And we thank you and wish all of you a very Merry Christmas.
Absolutely. So, Marty, thank you for coming on. We're going to ask. Listen, Marty, people are just like, hey, Marty, hey, Marty, hey, Marty. I'm telling you, people know you. Listen, people
Wow.
know you. You feel like, you just feel like family. You just show up. We see
Well,
you
we are
everywhere.
family.
So, exactly. So I am going to bring on our next guest.
Yes.
So I have known this guest pretty much all of my life. She is my cousin. She is also a PCOS warrior. She is a health
Wow.
coach, and she is coming on and talking about her story. But not just that, she's really going to dive into the nutrition,
Mm-hmm.
and why she really had to figure out how to take care of her body.
Mm-hmm.
And so you all welcome Deja Allen to the show.
Woo!
Hello.
Miss
Hello,
Dijha,
hello,
how are
hello,
you, darling?
hello. I'm great. I'm great. I'm so happy to be here. I'm honored to be here with you guys.
Deja, you
Well,
better come on with that red lipstick, girl. Listen, there's a lot of that red lipstick. You
You
are
know, you
killing
know,
it. I love it. I love it. I
you
love
know.
it. So you
I
guys,
love it.
I have asked the audience, as you guys are coming in, let us know what you're grateful for. Pamela says Marty is bomb. Yes, he
Pamela,
is.
you know I love you. Miss you so much.
You guys, I'm going to ask you all, what are you grateful for? So, Marty, I'm going to start with you, friend. What are you grateful for today?
I'm so grateful for when I look back over 2020. It's been a very difficult year for so many people. But I'm so grateful for life. I'm so grateful for family, extended family like you and Pastor have been to me, and just grateful for friends. And that during this time, for me, it's not about the gift that's under the tree, but it's the people that helped put the tree together, the trees in my life that held my branches up when they wanted to break. But they made sure that I stayed firm, that I stayed planted, and that I stayed straight and stayed the course. So I'm grateful for everyone that's connected with me, both physically and virtually, who have poured into my life this year in 2020.
I love it, Marty. I love everything about that. Deja Alexis says, hey, Deja.
Hey, Lex.
So you're up next. Let us know what you're grateful for.
Well, honestly, just like Paula shared earlier, like life, health, and strength. When I wake up in the morning, each and every day, I am just thankful that I have breath in my lungs. And I go and I see my family, my husband, our two small children, and I'm just thankful that they are alive. So just to be alive and well,
Mm-hmm.
especially this year. this trying
Yes.
year when there's been so much loss. It's just something that, like you said, Portia, it's just, I mean, I always felt thankful for life, but this year has just been like, wow, like I really appreciate being alive and well.
Mm-hmm.
We're not ill. So I'm
Right.
thankful for that. And also, I'm just thankful for so much clarity that I've gotten this year. So it's been a painful year in so many ways, but the clarity that I've gotten, purpose being revealed, which has led me to being here with you right now, that has been just amazing. So I'm just thankful for the opportunities that have come about for me this year.
I love it. I love it. So, you guys, I know you are here to hear what we are talking about. We're going to jump right
Yes.
in. And so, if you saw it, we are talking about what we call PCOS. So, I did want to read this because some people on here may not know exactly what it is. And this is a brief terminology, but polycystic ovary syndrome is a hormonal disorder common among women of reproductive age. Women with PCOS may have infrequent or prolonged menstrual periods or excess male hormones, androgen. Levels. The ovaries may develop numerous small collections of fluid follicles and fail to regularly release eggs. And so it's funny because the cause of PCOS is still very unknown, and there's still a lot of unknowns. And I asked Dijha to come on because she has really taken on just she's been impacting women specifically with PCOS and how to lose weight and their nutrition. And there's so much in that. And so I'm going to talk to Dijha about her story because her story is very funny. Dijha and I are cousins, like I said, but we kind of reunited, I think, maybe
Mhm.
about 7 years ago, 8, 9 years,
Yeah, probably about 8 or 9.
8 or 9 years
Hmm.
ago. And the funny thing is, when we met, we started talking and we realized that we had both been diagnosed with PCOS.
Wow.
And I had been diagnosed with PCOS earlier in my teen years, and she had been diagnosed. And I'm not sure, Dijha, you could tell it in your story.
Hmm.
But at that time, Dijha didn't have any children, and I had Miracle. And so it was great because we were able to share that story, and I was able to kind of share my story of having Miracle and things like that. So it was funny that we were. One, that we are cousins by blood, and that we shared the same thing. And
Mm-hmm.
as we were talking, for me, I got diagnosed, I think I was about 17, and I was kind of left to fend for myself, right? It was like, oh,
Mm.
well, we're diagnosing you with PCOS. You are likely not going to be able to have any children. And if you
Hmm.
do, it's going to be very, very hard. See you later and see you in a
Hmm.
year when you come for your next physical. And
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
so I'm young, right? So I'm like, okay, that's fine. I don't want any children anyway.
Hmm.
Now that I'm older, I realized that something was very, very wrong there. And I was left to essentially fend for myself and try to figure out what was going on. And I'm 16 at the time, 16, 17 at the time. And I'm like, okay, well, I don't want to have kids, right? But then you start becoming of age and you're like, wait a minute, I remember that doctor said something. But not being able to have the resources to understand it, even, for myself. Juanita, thank you so much for joining, darling. So, Dijha, I want you to talk a little bit about your story and you being diagnosed with PCOS.
Sure. So I had to think about this. It goes, thinking back kind of through the years. So I would say started in my teen years is when I realized that there was a problem. I recall being about 14 years old and getting my first period at that time. And I remember it being extremely heavy and it lasted a very long time. So that was kind of strange. So first it was kind of even a little bit old. Some
Yep.
girls get it much younger than that. So I was 14, really bad, heavy period that lasted a long time. And I got it one time and then it didn't come back. And I think I may have gotten it sometime after that, maybe one more time. And that was it. And I remember my mom, then we were just kind of waiting. And then eventually my mom decided to take me to the doctor. At that time, I was like 17 years old and I hadn't gotten it again. So finally she takes me to her gynecologist to get me checked out. And the gynecologist looked at me, did an exam. I remember him doing an ultrasound and just saying, Well, you have all your reproductive organs, so you're good there, but we don't know what's going on with you in your body. There was no mention of PCOS at that doctor's appointment. All I remember is being told, you have your organs, let's put you on birth control pill, because that has been a common treatment for bringing on the period.
Yep.
So I took the pill for a few years. As I said, I was 17. I took it on and off through college. And in college is when I started getting inquisitive, kind of doing my own research into what was going on in my body. Because again, I didn't know anything about PCOS.
Dijha, I want to go back because I do want to talk about the birth control pill.
Mm-hmm.
Because that was something prescribed as well. So
Mhm.
like you, it's the same way. Like I didn't have, I think I was 13 when I started my cycle, and they were pretty, regular.
Mhm.
And then when I got in high school, that's when I really started, like you were, like I could go 9 months, I could go a
Mhm.
year without a
Mhm.
cycle. And I know that initially, that's what it was. Birth control pills was like, okay, let's
Mhm.
put you on a birth control pill because this will,
Right.
regulate your cycles and things like that. And I think I was on the pill for a very, very short time. Like I just didn't feel good on it. It just was
Mhm.
bad for my body. And so
Right.
I got off of it. But for you, I had really, really bad pains during my menstrual cycle
Mhm.
where like essentially my pelvic would swell up. And that's what, it
Mhm.
wasn't even the missing the cycles. I went because I was having some other issues. But
Mhm.
I want to get back to just the birth control. So how long did you stay on that birth control pill?
I was pretty irresponsible, like, just being a young
Oh,
teenager. I remember not taking it consistently. And if you don't take the pill consistently, for those who don't know, there's a lot of negative side effects that can come from that. So I remember like breakthrough bleeding that can just happen at any time. It's not the cycle, but it's just because it messes up your hormones even more. And so because I was irresponsible with taking it daily at the same time as you're supposed to, I just said, you know what, forget it. And I kind of just said, I'm not doing this. And it didn't really, I mean, at the time, I didn't mind that I didn't get my period. Like, I was like, I'm fine.
like who cares? I was like that.
Yeah, like it wasn't, it was almost like because I was so used to not getting it, to then start getting it at the age of like 17, 18. I'm like, this is kind of annoying. And if I have a choice, if I just won't take the pill.
Right.
You
I
know,
prefer not to have a
why
cycle.
would I choose to take the So yeah, so pretty irresponsible in that sense. And then even as I went on through my 20s, I was kind of on and off, on and off, on and off. I've even tried other things, such as just progesterone, because that can also
Yeah.
bring on the cycle. More recently, I actually was taking like a quarterly pill as opposed to every month to just bring it on. This was prior to my whole lifestyle change, but just to at least have it a few times a year, because my doctor was like, you need to get it at least a few times a year. So
Yeah.
that's kind
So,
of
Deja, it does sound like your doctors were pretty much on it with you, like kind of walking you through it, making sure. I mean, I know with the birth control, but it sounds like they were giving
Mhm.
you other options too.
Yeah, I mean that what I mentioned was more as I became an adult, but back
Mhm.
when I was first given the pill, not really. It was just take the pill and that was it. And what happened was when I got into college, I started researching this condition more and just learning more about this. And what happened was I was like typing in symptoms, right? And PCOS popped up. Like,
Right.
and I thought I self-diagnosed myself. I saw all the symptoms on the internet and I was like, I have all these symptoms. I'm like, I'm pretty sure I have
Wow.
PCOS.
Right.
But it wasn't until I got out of college, I got like my own health insurance plan and I got my own gynecologist that I found, went to see this doctor, and I went and I'm like, I'm pretty sure I have this thing. And did all the blood work. And she's like, yep, that's what you have. And I was like, yeah, I knew that, but it was just
Wow.
validating to hear a doctor
To
say
say
that.
it. Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Wow. Go ahead, Marty, because I think you
No,
have a question.
No, no. As I'm sitting here,
Hmm.
and my experience with my daughter was very different. My daughter started her period at 11. I cried.
Mhm. Yeah.
Here I'm like, what am I going to do?
Yeah.
And even to this day, she has very, very difficult cycles that
Hmm.
come. And so hearing all of that, and I know one of her saving graces was finally getting the right OBGYN that
Hmm.
understood her body, that she was able to talk to about
Yeah.
that, and really help decipher that. But I can't imagine, being 17 and,
Right.
and
Hmm.
what that was like, the psychological trauma that must
Hmm.
have. Sure, when you're 17, you're like, whatever. But then as you
Hmm.
start to creep into your 20s and all
Right.
that,
Right.
and people start talking about having babies, and then the
Right.
depression and all the anxiety that takes place with
Hmm.
that. And that's why I'm such a proponent of having integrative approach to medicine, that we
Right.
have our therapists and our doctors, our MDs and OBGYNs, all these, that we have permission to talk with each other so that we can get a more accurate diagnoses to a lot of our problems, so that we don't have to carry this burden all by
Mhm.
ourselves.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a I've been tested for it, but my results came back negative for it. I have the symptoms, but I don't have the diagnosis.
Mm.
So then I remember that when my sister was she was kind of going through kind of the same thing, and she was like,
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
"Portia, you have PCOS," and so it's not uncommon that you will see that. Should I get a second opinion? I wish we had a doctor on here, but I'm always
Hmm.
like, listen, if you are still having issues, if something is going on, get a second opinion. Go
Right.
to somebody else and see what it is. And it may be nothing, but I think
Hmm.
it's important. You do have to dig, read, and know your body. Pam
Right.
said
Mm-hmm.
that, it's so funny. I'm gonna tell you guys, me and Deja literally were on the phone today, and she was telling me some stuff that I was like, wait a minute. I thought I was in this by myself. Like, yes, I have
Hmm.
children, so I want to say that, like, for me, the infertility wasn't a big thing, right? I had been told that, and I believed that, like, oh, I wasn't going to be able to have kids. I met John. I was like, listen, dude, hey, this was going on. We
Hmm.
already got us a kid because Jontel is my bonus baby, and I was like, well, I can't have any kids. That's what it is. And then when we got married, we did try, and it didn't happen right away. So I just
Mm-hmm.
immediately was like, well, it must be this. Um, but I think it's important that we got diagnosed so young, right? So
Mm-hmm.
my mom,
Hmm.
she actually said it was 16, because she
Hmm.
remembers going with me and taking me to the
Right.
appointment.
Mm-hmm.
And then Deja is like 18, 19. And so you're still so
Hmm.
very young that if the only thing you're telling me is that I have all my reproductive organs, or you'll have a hard time having a baby, those things don't really click because I'm at an age where I'm not thinking about childbearing. I'm not thinking about
Hmm.
that. But what you didn't tell us, right? And Deja, I really want you to talk about this, is the
Hmm.
insulin resistance, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that causes type 2 diabetes and all of these other things that are going
Right.
on in your body. You have more of male hormones. So why is this affecting it? Even
Right.
I had an MRI, and when they saw something on it, they were like, there's something on your pituitary gland. And I was like, well, I have PCOS. And they were like, that's it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like so much that it's
Mm-hmm.
more than just you can't have kids, right? And
Right.
so
Right.
talk a little bit about your journey and really why you got into kind of this health coach and
Hmm.
figuring out what was right for your body.
Well, so let's talk about my 20s. So at that point, I knew I had PCOS. Um, and I started actually in college, I started struggling with my weight. So that has been like the struggle of most of my life, is struggling with weight. And in my 20s, I started trying all the diets, actually in college, all the diets out there. Some were restrictive. I remember going on Weight Watchers and losing like 20 pounds and being so excited about that. And just, it was so hard to keep off. And I thought, there's something wrong with me, because why can't I keep this weight off? But then I kept trying different things, different things, different things. Many of them were unhealthy. That led to binge eating,
Mm.
doing things that were so restrictive. And it led me down the hole of becoming a binge eater. Like it was bad. It was very bad. And I remember seeking out counseling to get help with that. And so that was just a rough period, like all throughout my 20s. And then I got married at 28. And even at that time, I wasn't thinking about having children at that time. I was like focused on school. I went to graduate school shortly after I got married. So the main thing that was bothering me was the weight. But then a few years after being married, I was in my early 30s and saying to my husband, I think I'm ready to start trying for a baby. And obviously I knew that I had this condition. I had never gotten pregnant before. I wasn't getting my cycle. I wasn't taking anything. So I just kind of went straight to fertility doctor, a local fertility clinic, because I had been told, like you said, Portia, a long time ago, you're probably not going to be able to have children. So again, back then, that wasn't something I was concerned about. So I didn't even really think about it until now. I'm like 30, 32, wanting to have a baby. So went to the fertility doctor, do the workup on me, the lab work, all the exams. And the doctor actually tells me, wow, you actually have a really severe case of PCOS. Because with PCOS, there is a range. It's a very dynamic syndrome. And from one woman to the next woman, the symptoms could be different because there's all different possible symptoms a woman could have. Some have some have, another set of symptoms, and then some have it more severe. So again, I was told mine was more of a severe case. And he started me, we kind of just started the treatment. And he said, we're going to start with, the least invasive treatment that we have available, and we'll take it from there. We'll see what happens. So I started with, that treatment, oral fertility medication and a shot, and I actually got pregnant right away. So that was actually really surprising.
Wow.
The doctor said to me, we'll do this for 6 months. It probably will take 6 months to work if it's going to work. But I actually got pregnant within a month of doing that. Wow. So, we were blessed. And I know that's not every woman's story. Mm-hmm. To be honest, sometimes I'm scared to share that because I know there's so many women out there that it's not that, even if they have to do fertility treatment, it's hard. It takes longer. So, but that's what happened for us.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then, I'm sorry, we're going to ask.
No, I did, Alexis. Yes. So for me, I had it's called like a microadenoma, which is it's nothing, right? Like it's nothing to worry about. There's kind of just like this mass, but it has no cancer or anything with it. And for me, they saw that because the reason why I went was not for that. I went because I was having a little bit of double vision, and we realized that it had something more so to do with my sinuses than that. But when they did see it, they were just like, hey, what is this? Like we can tell there's no brain issues, but what is this? And when I said PCOS, then they were like, okay, so once I said that, then now they really are not worrying about it because they can do drug tests. So there's drug tests, there's blood tests that they usually do when I go to test my and I forgot what it is, but it's to test my levels. So if they're really, really high, then that's something that they look at. Nothing life-threatening. I do want to say that there's nothing life-threatening, but for me, that's what it was. So I went to the MRI because I was having another symptom, not necessarily pertaining to PCOS, but just when they saw that, and I was like, pituitary gland. I was like, wait a minute, I know what that is. I took science class, so it prompted me to tell them that because then they could make a medical diagnosis based on what they had, and not just like, well, where did this come from, right? So sometimes you will have an overactive kind of pituitary gland. Mm-hmm. That's really what's going on with me and my body. So Paula says, what are some of the symptoms, Dijha, for polycystic ovary syndrome?
So some of the common ones are a lack of a period or amenorrhea, or fewer than like 9 periods in a year. That's a common one. Many women have cysts on their ovaries. So if you have an ultrasound of your ovaries, you can literally see a lot of cysts on the ovaries, and what they are actually follicles that haven't fully developed. Mm-hmm. Other symptoms are excess hair, because women with PCOS have elevated male hormones, so it causes things like excess hair in different parts of the body, the face, the stomach, various parts of the body. Some women also have like a hair loss, like male pattern hair loss, again because of those um, elevated male hormones like testosterone. The weight gain, the inability to lose weight, or just putting on weight very easily is another common symptom. So like obesity, being overweight. Um, oh my goodness, there's so many different things. And then let's talk about I know that this is we're gonna talk about this, but there's the mental health part of it as
Yes.
well.
Right.
Because of these things that this is hard. Like this is not easy for women to deal with, and of
Yeah.
course, and the infertility, right? So a lot of women are struggling with depression, anxiety. Um, I mentioned eating disorders, right? So there's a lot. It just impacts physically, mentally, and emotionally. I mean, low self-esteem as well, because
Yes.
you're not necessarily going through all these things. You may have issues with your weight. You're not ovulating, can't get pregnant. How does that make a woman feel? I mean, I could tell you, I all of these things that I mentioned, I have experienced.
Right.
You're right on my page. I love it. Everything that you said there.
Okay,
And no, no, you're fine because
I
this
don't want
just
to
goes
take
to
over.
no, no, you are not taking over by no means. What you're doing is confirming that. And I know it's very strange to have a man on here talking about that. But I think I know we have to have more conversations with our family members and start. I would say it this way: I like shaking family trees because it's not only necessary that we start tracking mental health disorders, but
Yeah.
it's also important, and not just important, life imperative that we start talking about challenges. Is this PCOS? Is this something that runs in our family? If it does, on which side? Is it on our mother's side? If it's on our father's side? Does high blood pressure? When I looked and shook our family tree, high blood pressure runs on both sides of my family. So I have no choice but to take blood pressure measures. And no matter how much I fought it, I exercised, ate healthy, gave up everything. I'm like, I can't fight it anymore. I just and the good thing is I'm on the lowest dosage of it. But we have to look at the diabetes and so many other things that run in our family lineage that we could possibly and a lot of times cut off a lot sooner and save the mental anguish and anxiety if we just have open conversations. So I say, baby, you ain't alone. Son, you're not alone.
Yeah.
Daughter, you're not alone. A niece, nephew, you're not alone. Let's sit down and let me tell you what I went through and tell you what I've gone through. Let's have a family plan together so that no matter what child comes into our family, we now have a history that not only do we share with them, that we take to the doctors as well and say, hey, this is our family history. Now,
Yeah.
what do we do from here? Let's have a conversation. Imagine how much healthier mentally, physically, and dare I say spiritually our families would be if we sat down, had those. So I'm going to challenge everyone. Listen, shake your family tree. Start putting it together yourself. Start asking those questions. What did Big Mama have? What did Pawpaw have? Why did
Yeah.
they have this? Why did they only have 5 kids or this? I know it didn't run on my side of the family because my grandmother had 12 kids, all single birth. So,
Yeah. I think it's so important that we do. It's funny, me and Miracle, I mean, she's 13, but we were talking about this
yes.
show. And just yesterday, we were talking about me having her while we named her Miracle, like all of that stuff, right? And she knows the story, but like I was able to get into the story a little bit more because as she gets older, you tell a little bit
Yes.
more about the story. And she did ask me, she said, well, I have it. And I said, well, baby, I don't know. But now that we do know this, it's something that
Yes.
I can deal with when my daughter's getting older.
Yes.
It's so sad. And like when I think about it, I like to think of myself as a pretty educated woman, especially when I go to the doctor. I love to talk to my doctors. I tell them what's going on with me. But a lot of stuff, I guess about 3 years ago, I realized that I was telling a lot about what was going on with me, but I did not have a lot of family history that I had undisclosed. And so it was funny. I don't know why it never came up on a questionnaire. It came up on a questionnaire about my maternal grandmother. So she passed away. I never met her, and she passed of ovarian cancer. And the lady was like, have you ever had the bracket, right? The bracket test. And I was like, no, why would, what's that? Here I am. I'm college educated. I go to all my appointments. I do what I'm supposed to do. And there literally is a genetic test that I could have taken, that I could have, and so it was, and then I had to fight with, I won't say who, but I had to fight with an insurance company anyway, because they did deny the test. So fighting with that, but you're right, Marty, about finding your family tree is because if I would have known this, but you don't know what you don't know. So Dijha, that's why I'm so happy that you're doing this for women with PCOS that are trying to lose weight. I want to talk a little bit about the nutrition part of this, right? And it wasn't like somebody was like, hey, Dijha, do this, this, this. You had to go looking for yourself. And even today, I thought I was the only person that was always like ravenously hungry. Like I can never satiate my appetite, right? So it's like, it is serious. And it's like, I'm always hungry, no matter what I do. I'm like, hungry. The girl is hungry. And so when I'm trying to right, I'm hungry, but because I'm hungry and I'm like, listen,
did you forewarn Pastor beforehand?
I know. The Brussels sprouts and the chicken, it's not good. The salmon, I'm still hungry. So then I head to then y'all know I head to the cookies and cakes and stuff. But Dijha, talking to you, you experienced that too. And here I am suffering in silence, being shamed about me going into and like tearing up my cabinets and not really knowing that is some of that due to this. So did you talk a little bit about that?
Yes, it's very common. And that's another is having a huge appetite. And that is something that I've struggled with. And that's why the restrictive diets that I tried over the years, the low calorie diets specifically, just didn't work for me. And generally speaking, they don't really work well for PCOS. But that's really just not the proper way to kind of try to treat this condition naturally. So yeah, and the thing is, for so many years, I just thought I was the only one too, just like you, Portia. I didn't know that this is common. The binge eating disorder. I just thought like there's just something deeply wrong with me. Like, why am I having this problem? I don't get it. I don't like it. I feel horrible about it. But what's the problem? And then, a few years ago, I found out this is very common for women with PCOS. So, as with anything, there's no one size fits all approach when it comes to, the proper diet. I don't believe that. That's my philosophy. However, there are some things that I think most women with PCOS can do if they're struggling with weight in particular to help manage their symptoms, lose weight, get healthier. And the top two things to do are eliminate or limit, I won't say eliminate, but limit sugar, and processed foods, like carbs, things that come in. When I say processed foods, meaning things that come in a package, if you look at an ingredient list and you see more than like 5, let's say even if you see more than 5, 10 ingredients on the ingredient list, that's a processed food. So a whole food approach to eating is right? Like it has one ingredient, right? Like chicken. That's just chicken. Like there's nothing else, right? Or broccoli is broccoli, so just really embracing a more whole food way of eating. Along with that, I personally have seen so much success, and I know many other women that have as well, increasing my healthy fats, increasing my protein, again, decreasing the processed foods, the sugar, increasing the high fat, healthy proteins. That has worked wonders. And research has proven that those types of diets. And I know people get confused when you use the word diet, because it just, when I use the term diet, I really mean way of eating, right?
Mhm.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because I'm not an advocate of like a fad diet. I'm an advocate of changing your lifestyle, doing things you
Yes.
do and maintain for the rest of your life. And when you're talking about something like PCOS, it's a chronic condition. It just is what it is. And you
Yeah.
can manage it. You can better manage it by changing your lifestyle, by changing your diet, your way of eating, by exercising. But if I were to completely go back to the way that I used to eat, which was extremely high carb, lots of junk food, all the sweets and the cookies and the chips, all of that stuff that I used to love, my symptoms would start to get worse again. Let me just share this. Now, I do still have some symptoms, but I mentioned to you earlier that one of my symptoms was lack of a period, right? Well, I can tell you that when I totally shifted gears in terms of my way of eating, I went from eating a high carb, vegetarian, pescatarian diet to now this way high fat diet and moderate protein. I now get a monthly cycle. I'm 40 years old, and I am for the first time in my life getting a consistent monthly cycle. I went most of my life not getting it naturally, needing to take medication. And now just as simple, I don't want to say it's easy because it wasn't easy, but it was fairly simple, the changes that I made. And that has has just healed that area.
Right.
I think that
And
I,
that's like miraculous to me that
Marty, I
I
want
to do.
that is good. Marty, I want you to come in here because we have a lot of fat phobia
Mhm.
in
yes.
our culture,
Yes.
and we just don't always understand. One of the shows I love is My 400-Pound Life. Every single time it has something to do with trauma.
Yes.
And I really want you to speak to it, Marty. A couple things, but the first thing is, I laugh about the sugar thing. When Deja told me that she felt that, Portia, I was the same way. I felt like I was normal, right? And you don't
Yes.
even realize you have this stuff going on in the back of your head. But
Mm-hmm.
I know when I'm like, I'm still hungry. Like I can't tell anybody, like I'm literally still hungry all the
Mm-hmm.
time. And I laugh
Mm-hmm.
about it. But I think it's important, Marty, that we talk about just that mental health of really trying to lose weight, not knowing what to do, like, really, really trying. I saw Deja. I never thought she was overweight, but I saw her struggle.
Mm-hmm.
She would come up for Thanksgiving. She would be very, very, she would eat food, but she was very, very conscious about what
Mm-hmm.
she ate, how much she ate. Like I would see her portions, and I never thought anything, I was just like, she's just trying to lose weight. But underlining, I know several people, even for me, like, you just feel bad that like you
Mm-hmm.
can't do it. Like, how do we mentally navigate that while still trying to do it, but feeling like
Right.
you got this whole, wall in front of you that you can never knock down?
Right.
Mhm.
You said so many important things about eating right and how
Mhm.
that plays such an important part of our mental health. One of
Mhm.
the first things I do in my screening is like I want to know what food are you intaking? What types of food are you intaking? How much of it, and I love what you said, DJ, about how much of it can you put on a list of three? When we're talking
Mhm.
about all the preservatives and all the
Mhm.
other additive things that I believe from a holistic approach, add an aid to our mental disorders with that.
Mhm.
It's amazing what changing our lifestyle and how we eat, getting enough sleep, how it can
Mhm.
change our lives
Yes.
drastically in that. And Portia, you're absolutely right. When we're talking about weight control, and even when we're talking about whether they had the bypass surgery or any of those things, listen, we can have the surgery, but if we don't change
Mhm.
our mind and change
Right.
our relationship with food, it doesn't matter.
Mhm.
You can have all the surgeries you want, and what happens in less than a year's time, not only have they gained that weight back, but they've gained in excessive to that as well because they haven't
Mhm.
dealt with the mind. When I was doing
Mhm.
my research on this PCOS, there was a couple things that I found was very, very important that we do. It suggested that, can you believe this? And you were right on the money when you're talking about, it says that in the medical journal by North Carolina Medical Journal, they said that of the causes of this, and even when we're dealing with infertility, 30% are male factors. We don't a lot of times talk about the male factors of that. 30% are female factors. And then the other 40% are a combination of both that sometimes can't even be explained. In those situations, I had a couple that I was talking to that was going through the infertility treatments and trying to do all of that.
Right.
And Dijha, I understand exactly what you're saying. The self-esteem of not just the wife, but the husband was equally as high. Then there's pressure when having sexual relationships is supposed to be enjoyable. It becomes very mechanical.
Right.
So there's pressure on both parties. Then there's the blaming. Maybe I didn't do it right. Maybe all of that. So then, you go into this cyclical pattern of depression, loss of sleep. Then you just forget everything. But some of the successes that they're showing in this has been, again, that integrated thank you, approach about that, where we have group therapy, where women can get in a group sessions together and share their collective stories. To know, like you were saying, Portia, that you're not alone. In that. Then they had individual therapy, and then the treatments that sometimes yours is amazing. You said yours took after one treatment, but they could be a year long that takes place.
Right.
And then the last thing, real quick, Portia, that you were talking about, then the battle with the insurance companies that won't. And so a lot of this for many people is out of pocket. And who has an extra $20, $30, $50,000 just lying around? Now we love our children, but then you go, well, after they get here, can I afford to feed them next?
Right.
So there's so much that just weighs and weighs and weighs. So thank you both for this amazing platform, because we need to have these conversations, and men need to be a part of this conversation as well. So we get a better understanding of what our spouses, what our significant others are dealing with. We don't have the organs, if you will, but we can be empathetic. We can be a support to say, baby, I love you no matter what. Baby, you are all right. Baby, you all I need.
So we're laughing. We have this running joke about work ethic during Thanksgiving.
Oh, wow.
Her husband cleans and cuts the greens, and Dijha, she don't really do much cooking, or she didn't at the time. But Dijha, you know what? I really want to hone in. We have probably about 10 minutes, and I do want to talk about how you are helping women. I want to make sure we understand, like, what are some of those steps when a woman comes to you? What are some of those steps that you walk her through to really help her on this health journey? So let us know, how are you helping women? Because you're going to help me.
Okay.
And so how are you helping women?
Would you mind, before I answer that one, if I just go back to the diet really quickly?
Go ahead.
I just want to make a point. I can't stress enough the importance of lifestyle changes for managing this condition. I have to, because the thing is, most doctors aren't going to tell you that. At least that's been my experience. Doctors will say, take this medication, take this drug. I have yet to have a doctor say, why don't you try changing the way you're eating? Why don't you try exercising? And when I look back, yes, I did need fertility treatments for both of my children. I did IVF one time. Thankfully, it was successful. But when I think about it, I'm wondering, if I knew then what I know now, maybe I wouldn't have needed it. And of course, I don't know the answer to that. And I'm not saying if that's what a family needs to do, it's okay. But I would say try the lifestyle changes first.
Yes.
Because I'm part of a Facebook group of women with PCOS, and many of those women have successfully had children naturally after doing a lifestyle change the way they eat. And the main issue with PCOS is, for most women, is insulin resistance. I know we didn't really get into that too much, but the way that I was kind of sharing to eat will help improve insulin resistance. Most women are with PCOS are insulin resistant.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to say that because I just thought that was important. I
Dijha,
wish
I want you to
I
touch.
wish doctors would say that, like, try this first. But
Right.
that's not what they do. But the majority, I don't want to say all of them, but
Right. Dijha,
you know.
I feel like I need a part two, right? I feel like this
You
wasn't
really
enough.
do.
It really wasn't enough time, right? I just feel like maybe next week we need a part two because I do want you to talk about insulin resistance. I do want you to talk
Yeah.
about, I do want to hear how you help women, but I do want to
Mhm.
go into the insulin resistance. And I think your story really talks a lot about that. So people can at least when we have
Nice.
a when we have something to look at, we have been
Mhm.
exposed to that change that somebody else has done, it makes it
Mhm.
feel like we can do it too. It lets us know that it's possible. So
Right.
definitely talk about how you're helping women in that.
Sure. Sure, sure. So when I work with a client, there are, in the beginning of that relationship, the main things I want them to focus on are their goals, right? What it is that they want to
Mm-hmm.
accomplish. I want them to understand that this is a process. The name of my company is called Let's Journey to Health because I believe this is a journey. This is not, it's not a sprint, it's a marathon.
Mm-hmm.
And I want women know that you need to be committed to this for the long haul and thinking about what are your goals and what is your why, because you need to have a strong why to be able to commit to what it is that you what it is that you need to do to accomplish your goals. It's not easy. I don't want to make it seem like it is.
Mm-hmm.
That's really important, is goals and your why, your priorities, because if you many women do not put ourselves right as a priority. Those of us who have husbands, have children, we often put ourselves, at the end of that list, of the priority list. And I want women to start reversing that and putting themselves at the front. And it's not selfish. Self-care is not selfish. In order for
Right.
people to take care and be there for our family
That's right.
now and later, we have to take care of ourselves. When you have a health condition such as PCOS or any similar condition, you have to take care of yourself, or it's going to run rampant and you're going to end up having more serious things happen later on. So that's really
Mm-hmm.
important. And I focus on, yes, making healthy changes, but changes that can be sustainable. It's not
Mhm.
about diet, it's about learning how to eat healthfully. It's not about deprivation, and it's not about not enjoying. Like, you need to be able to enjoy what you're eating to be able to sustain it. So that's
Yes.
very
Good.
important as well. And also just encouraging women, because this is hard and there's no such thing as perfection. So I tell women, okay, these are your goals. I'm going to help you get there. But okay, if you have a bad day, it's okay.
It's
Health
okay.
is about lifestyle. It's not about having one bad day, you ate a donut and then you throw it all away. No, like, this is a lifetime commitment. And
Yeah.
one day, whether you meant to have the donut or you plan to have the donut or Christmas, Thanksgiving, it's not going to derail your progress. Just keep moving forward and don't let little hiccups in the way throw you off course.
I love
Don't you
So
that,
love the
those are
Dijha.
some of the things
self-care?
to talk to them about.
Yeah, no, I love that real quick. You know how you say self-care is not being selfish, because we have thought that way too long. And the more that you
Right.
begin to care for yourself, it lowers all of that anxiety. It begins to push
Mhm.
back the depression, because now you're starting to increase your self-esteem, helping to eliminate that because you're
Mhm.
caring about yourself first, mind, body, and
Mhm.
soul. Then that gives the freedom. That gives your body permission to say, you know what, let's do what we were created to do. And that's creating other
Mhm.
lives in that. So thank you for pushing that self care and health care with the
Mhm.
women. And hats off to you. Keep doing what you're doing. And just so glad to be a part of this today.
Oh, Dijha, and that was so good,
Thank
Dijha.
you.
Kind of talking about, I think, yes, when you say diet, you mean lifestyle change, right?
Yes.
And how we're doing that, and
Mhm.
not necessarily diet in the word of restrictive of what you can't have.
Mhm.
Dijha
Right.
and I talked, and I was saying that I was on keto. I did keto, and I was able. I mean, honestly, in that first week, I lost like 10 pounds. Like it
Mhm.
just
Wow.
just shut off, and that's usually I can lose weight I don't really have a hard time losing weight, especially something like that. But I'm also very restrictive. So like when I do that, it's really restrictive. I remember I juiced
Mhm.
for 21 days. All I had was juice. And the last 7 days, I had an apple at night. But so for me,
Wow.
it's always extreme, right? But when you come out, no. And then I got pregnant. That's another thing. I got pregnant with Matt. And the year
Watch
prior, the
every.
doctor
They're going to be buying juicers now. Get that juicer. It worked for Portia.
and the year prior, the doctor had said if I wanted to have any children, we had to talk about it. You know what? We just need more time. Dijha, I hope you'll be back because we literally need a
I
part
would
two.
love to come
Oh
back. I would
yes.
love to. I have
Are
so
you
much more
available?
I could share.
Are you available next week?
I certainly am. I can
Okay,
come back
same
next
time,
week. I
same
would
time
love
next
to.
week. You guys, this has been
Okay.
an incredible conversation. It's
Yes.
so needed, and I hope that women that were on here that have experienced it, or even if you know someone that experienced it, because one of the things I
Mhm.
want to talk about next week, Marty, is I want to talk about our sensitivity to those that we
Yes.
love that have it. Dijha, I
Mhm.
want you to go more into insulin resistance, and I want to talk about that
Mm.
Mhm.
binge eating and the binge disorder. I want to talk more about some of those things. I wouldn't have cycles for, like I said, months, and then I'd get a cycle and it'd be super duper heavy. And when I first got married, stuff happened. And you're like, dude, I didn't like, I don't know what to tell you. But about husbands being sensitive to that, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
And so
Yeah.
you guys know I work very close to caring for girls, and this, even though this is menstrual, and so I think you're right, Marty, about bringing men into the conversation to be
Yes.
Mhm.
empathetic about that,
Mhm.
because like Dijha said, I'd have these like, I mean, it would be like almost uncontrollable, and
Hmm.
so you have accidents,
Mhm.
and it's like
And
you're
and husbands
embarrassed
have
because
no
you're
clue.
right. They have no.
Right.
We're like, oh God. But if we can assist
Then
you and
somebody just
aid
died.
you,
Yeah,
yeah,
Mhm.
to say,
Right.
absolutely.
baby, it's okay. How can I
Right.
support you?
Mhm.
How are you? What can I do? A lot of times that's
Yes.
what men need to feel like they're doing something, even in those difficult.
Yeah.
So directing
Mhm.
we as men in that, say, baby, you know what? You can just hold my hand. We're like,
Right,
oh,
right.
okay,
Go
you
into the
Yeah.
grocery. The thing is, like, John will go get mine. Honestly,
Mhm.
he know because I am regular now. I super regular. And praise God, that happened probably right after I had Maddox. So, like you, Deja, 6 years ago,
Mhm.
I started really having a regular cycle, like regular women. And John, he'll go
Mhm.
to the store, for me, and he'll be like, "Oh, you got like a week before it's like." It
Mhm.
he be clocking it, not because so
Mhm.
much, but he be like, how many days do I have? How many days? Girl, it's coming. Listen, it's coming. But
But
I
but believe it or not, that gives men comfort because we feel like now we're a part of that process that
right,
we're
right.
so
Mhm.
often left behind or we're pushed out the kitchen when women are
Mhm.
talking about get out of here. This is women's business. Well, if I'm going to be a
Mhm.
future
We need to
husband and a
bring
future
men into the
father,
Mhm.
we
conversation.
I
Mhm.
need to know what's going on so I know how to help my wife and be
Right.
Right.
sensitive to her needs.
Right.
Absolutely. So
Let
I
all
love
the men say amen.
so I love it. Dee's is gonna be back. You guys, if you've enjoyed this show, one, share it and set your alarms. I'm going to go ahead and set the thing for next week so that I can continue to put it out because this was so so
Beautiful.
important. Deja, thank you for sharing
Mhm.
your story. I know people come
Thank
on and they
you.
share their stories and it's like, oh, it's so easy, but you really are vulnerable. And thank you for your vulnerability. Raheem Allen is
Come
her
on.
husband. Come
Come
on,
on,
Raheem.
husband.
He said,
Mhm.
put that up there
My
when he said,
supportive husband. My supportive husband.
That's
yes,
right.
yes,
Yes.
yes.
Yes. Yes.
I often go to the store for my wife.
Yes.
Yes.
Mhm.
John, I can't. And then he said, Raheem also said, I can't with John. Put him down. But Raheem also said bravo, and he went through this with her. So
Wonderful.
I just love it. So you guys, thank you so much for coming on. We always leave because we want to make sure people can keep in touch with you. Deja, how can we keep in touch with you, my love? I know we're going to see you next week, but how can we
Mhm.
keep in touch with you?
My handle on Facebook and Instagram is health coach _Dijha. And my email address is letsjourneytohealth@gmail.com. So you can reach out to me any of those ways.
Thank you, Dijha. And
Thank you for having me.
Martinez,
Yes.
listen,
Thank you so much.
speak
Listen,
up,
yes.
speak out, and live. Tell us how we
and
can get
live.
us a shirt, Marty.
Wonderful. You can go to my website at mentalhealthmarty.com and we would love for you to get a shirt for Christmas. They have coffee mugs, whatever. And we got some new merchandise coming out, some new merch coming out 2021. But Portia, I always thank you for allowing me to come on here and just co-hosting with you. This is amazing. But thank you so much. I'm keeping it short today.
And y'all don't miss that Mental Health Matters. Listen, that podcast, I'm going to need you to go listen to that.
Yes, thank you. Mental Health Matters with Marty, my podcast, and we're dropping a new episode this coming Wednesday. And Dijha, I got to have you on the podcast soon because I think it is an important and vital topic to discuss with men as well.
And so, listen, those are the two babies. Listen.
They have to bust in. Okay. And Marty, thank you. And Marty, I would love to. I would be honored to be on your.
Yes.
So, you guys, thank you. Look at those two beautiful faces.
Beautiful.
I love
it. Thank you.
Thank
you, Mama.
Oh, congratulations, Mommy. They were so proud of you. Oh, I love you girls. I can't wait to see you. You guys, thank you so much. I appreciate Marty merchandise. I appreciate you guys showing up. I appreciate you guys being here on the show. You know, I want to put this out that we are doing 12 days of impact. And so if you are on my list, my text list, you already got the first one, day one, which is what is your life philosophy? And there's something to go along with it every day that you can do it. So we are impacting. And like I said, the first couple of days, we are impacting us. We are looking inside and figuring out, wait a minute, I should be the first person that I'm impacting. Then I can impact others. So if you guys want to be a part of that, text the word impact to 323-927-0998. That's 323-927-0998. Text the word impact and you will be a part of that journey. We'd love to have you. So you guys, we are closing out. We are leaving. Make sure that you join us next week for part two. We have some just questions coming and we're just really going to dive into it. So you guys, thank you so much. You guys know we end every single show with this declaration. Waking up is automatic. Showing up is intentional. Today, I will show up. Merry Christmas, everyone.
Merry Christmas.